Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Well, I just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, this is, how do I put it, a Spider-Man film, basically, if you put it like that. Now, let me get you into the origin of how I went to go see this movie. You see, Sony is a company that has really failed me. I mean, I don't hate them. Okay, that's a lie. I really do hate them. They really produce sucky movies and they make the dumbest decisions ever. But I can't help it. It's not my fault they're bad. But yeah, Sony movies in the past have been a real disappointment to me. Jumanji was good. Yeah, I liked it. It was a really good and entertaining movie, but Venom was a disappointment. And the way they've treated their spider films lately has sort of been, a thorn in my side. The original trilogy was good, but then we had the amazing movies, and then we had Venom. Like, really, guys, you gotta do better. Anyway, so this weekend I was left with three choices to go and see a movie: Aquaman, Wreck-It Ralph 2, or Into the Spider-Verse. And would you know it, Sony got lucky, and I went to see Into the Spider-Verse. The animation is really good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the trailers for this, the animation really blew my mind. In fact, this was basically the only reason I was gonna go watch it, was because the animation was so good. Otherwise, I thought it was gonna be a generic Sony movie where they market it to be a good movie when really it's not. And yeah, that's sort of been a problem. But nonetheless, this movie is really solid. The animation is good, the dialogue is amazing, the characters are off this world, and the story is so well done. I can't even believe this was done by Sony. Sony, of all people, the people who don't even care what they're producing as long as they can consider it a movie. Here, you can actually see effort was put into it. But that's enough about me ranting about Sony. You know I hate them. They have produced one or two gems in the past, but I wouldn't call them super gems, or like Sony's a good company. Nah, they're still kind of the worst to me, and anyone who disagrees with me, well, you're wrong. Anyway, let's just start off with the review and see how Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is really a good film. The animation itself looks like a blend of CGI, comic art, and hand-drawn animation. It's just so fluid and well done. Like, I can't believe that this is the time when animation finally stops being the generic 3D CJ stuff and actually evolves into becoming something so much more. The animation is like so grand. It makes everything just look so pretty and nice. Usually Sony likes to go for quick, fast Saturday morning animation, examples being Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs or Hotel Transylvania, and they usually come off as bad, average, or really disappointing. But here it works, changing the atmosphere and aesthetics like every 10 seconds, giving it a fresh new look. I mean, honestly, the action scenes are amazing. The colors, movements, and angles make you feel like you're not only there, but you are also fighting with them. You feel the pain they're going through. You feel the struggles they have to do. It's not just simple fighting of punch and kick. No, you want them to actually do punch and kick. You want them to succeed in this fight, but you kind of feel like you're trapped in a corner. You're like, gotta do, man, do something. And I can't even just express how much it is. The colors just make it feel all the more enjoyable. They're so vibrant and alive. The motion in them is insane. Without the colors, I don't even know how this movie would work. The colors even show you how to feel. If a serious moment is serious, it's serious. If it's an enjoyable moment, it's enjoyable. Like, trust me, guys, some moments in this film are really serious, and the color just shows you of how the situation might go. They really do bring out a sort of emotion that words won't carry on themselves. This is a perfect example of show, don't tell. I could ramble on about how the colors are so great and how the animation is just so fluid, but it just makes you feel like you're in a comic book. The animation is grand. It's amazing. The fast-paced movements make it also feel grounded with the slow movements. Everything just feels so natural. It's not supposed to be real life. It's supposed to be within the story of a comic book, and everything just seems to flow with some sort of motion that just feels so right and so natural. And don't even get me started on the characters. The characters are just crazy. Miles is a great character who isn't perfect. He's just a normal kid who got powers, and in all honesty, I find that kind of, okay to relate with. That he's just a normal guy who's really trying his best in this world, but he can't do much with it. And honestly, I feel his pain. Like, Miles is just this average guy who wants to be your everyday normal kid, but he can't. He got his powers and now he has a big responsibility to uphold. He has the responsibility to protect his city and he just doesn't know how to juggle it. Like, for 2/3 of this movie, we're just centered on Miles not even knowing how to use his powers. He keeps on asking the other Spider-Men to support him whenever he needs it. But they're too busy with their own things, and you're like, come on guys, train this guy. Or come on Miles, get in the fight. You gotta get in the fight. But no, he doesn't get his powers just like that. He doesn't become a Mary Sue at them. It takes time. It takes practice. You gotta understand how to use them. And at the end of the movie, yes, it does seem a bit rushed as how he managed to use his powers properly. But throughout the movie, we get to see him struggle. For 2/3 of this movie, we don't see Miles just miraculously get used to his powers and all that. No, we see him struggle with them. We see him grow as both a character and a Spider-Man we want him to be. Because this is how you do your powers. You don't just become a Mary Sue at them. No, you actually take them into account and you use them. You take your abilities into account and you use them well, and you have to do everything in your power to make sure that you use those abilities to the extent of your power. I don't even know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you don't do it well, it shows that you're not interested. And Miles really is interested. Even though he may not seem like it to you, he really is trying. His dad is also another great character. He's not one of those perfect dads of, oh, I got wise words to say, oh, I'm good at this, oh, I'm good at that. No, he's one of those dads. In fact, I've barely even seen a dad like this before. This is a dad who is clearly trying. Not that he's a single dad or anything, but he's clearly trying to raise up his son in the best way he knows. He is really a guy who is not perfect, and he knows it. And as he says, he's always trying to do things, but that's because he thinks he knows how to do it. The parents don't always know the answer. As much as they tell you they know the answer, which is kind of true for most of the time, Miles' dad sometimes is lost. And raising a teenage kid really is hard, as we get to see in this movie. And we know it's not a simple task that he has, but it's the only task he can do because he's his father. And he really does try to bring out the best in Miles. In fact, what I like about this movie is that Miles has two people he mostly looks up to, none of whom are Spider-Man. He looks up to his dad and he looks up to his uncle. He looks up to his dad as a role model for him, but he also looks up to his uncle as the fun guy he wants to hang out with. And I kind of find myself in a similar situation at times, but this is not my story, this is Miles. Peter is a role model for Miles as well. You see, in Peter's dimension, he's a guy, who hit his high point when he was a teenager. Everything was going well for him. But there was this stage in life when he refused to grow up. Everything was going so well for him when he was a kid. But now that he's a grown-up, things seem to be in an endless cycle for him. And he really can't do much. And at this point when he's afraid to grow up because he's afraid of what will happen next, MJ is already moving on to the next stage, and if Peter won't go with her, then she had no choice but to leave him. It really did touch me of how cringy, funny, and also emotionally touching that moment was when Peter confronted MJ in Miles' world, because it just shows of how far the character has grown, and the fact that they even made him a side character makes it even better. That he isn't hogging the spotlight, that he does get a chance to shine. And I feel like that was Peter Parker's character from the beginning. Not that he was meant to be a side character, but the fact that he was supposed to grow. He's both a role model for Miles for how to be a good Spider-Man, and also a role model for Miles as to how to be a good human being as well. And I feel like that bridge was perfectly well constructed. The other spiders I knew because I read the comics and watched the TV shows about them. Yes, I do follow on the other spiders. I'm an actual Spider-Man fan. To those of you who are doubting me, I know there's some of you who are doubting me just because I think the movie is good. But no, I'm actually a good comic reader. And I did watch the TV shows and the comics about them. But to any newcomer, they might get lost. Aside from Gwen Stacy, who does get fleshed out here, the other three spiders don't get as much screen time, nor as much chemistry with the rest of the characters. Gwen Wax, as I said, she has a really good backstory. She's more of the down-to-earth character of the team, the one who's gotta be the serious one all the time. But I do think she does have her moments. Penny, Noah Ben, is it Noah Ben? No, Noah Spider-Man from the Noah dimension, the black and white one. You know him. They all could have been fleshed out with more runtime, but hey, I'm not the judge of that. Also, Nicolas Cage playing Spider-Man, who can only see in black and white, is just amazing. Honestly, how did no one think that was funny? Instead, they let Spider-Ham, or also known as Peter Parker, be the guy with all the comedy. And I feel like you just missed a chance there. Nicolas Cage was really funny in this movie, and I just don't see how you could have made him like that. The villain Kingpin is a really good villain, even better than the Incredibles 2 villain. His motives are good, even though he may have taken them too far, which is what a villain is supposed to be. They're supposed to have real life motives, but the thing that makes them a villain is that they take a step too far. Also, the villains that were here were all the Spider-Man villains who I loved from the TV shows. Finally, they hit the big screens, and in a way, actually makes Sony's lifelong dream of the Sinister Six happen. Having the Kingpin, Prowler, Green Goblin, Scorpion, Tombstone, and Dr. Octopus. To a normal guy, it may not seem impressive, but to a newcomer, this is amazing. I have never seen pacing like this in a story before. It is phenomenal. The writing, segues, and movement in the story is great. I thought that all the scenes would be, just same, seeing as Spider-Man would be an exact carbon copy of each other. But no, they all get their scenes and they do very well in them. The story sounds complicated on paper, just like how Civil War was. But if you get the right people with the right care, they can do it properly. A little nitpick of mine, I'm wondering about the story, is that how did Gwen get in Miles's dimension before the Collider incident happened? That was a weird detail that a lot of people overlooked. I'm gonna overlook it as well, although I just found it very weird. The jokes and comedy in this movie are hilarious, and I laughed when the alternate Peter and the Noir Peter were on screen, because those guys they really hit the bar for me. I don't know why they gave all the jokes to Peter Parker. And I mean, I did chuckle at them, but it's not like I laughed so much I rolled out of my seat kind of thing. But whatever. Now we go into the little things of the story. This is the parts of the story that I really did like, the little touches in them. First of all, I did like the Stan Lee tribute, both in the after credits scene and during the movie when he had his cameo. Especially after he's passing away, some of the messages he gave were really tear-jerking, and they really did make a lot of sense. Stan Lee, you will be missed. You made another hilarious cameo with an amazing lesson in it, and this is something I could get behind. The fan service was also good. This was something that both fans and newcomers could get behind. For example, the Sinister Six. And the end credits scene killed me. I'm not gonna spoil it, but let me just say, to hardcore Spidey fans, you will die at that scene. Overall, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse may just be my favorite Spider-Man movie, with great action, amazing animation, a heartfelt story, and a great lesson that anyone can be Spider-Man. This is the new age of movies and what I look forward to with Marvel and Sony with their cinematic universes. But I do know that this is a revolutionary time in the movie genre and gives new opportunities for people to use the same style of storytelling. This is what I've wanted to see from a Sony movie in forever. Sincere storytelling, new fresh ideas, and effort being put into it. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time, and this movie shows you why. It brought the character into a new, fresh way to continue to show how he grows. This is definitely my new favorite Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2, and I believe that this movie gets a 10 out of 10 for all its flaws and the little problems that it has. Even though it may not deserve it, it sure needed it. I've been Captain Phoenix, and I guess I will see you in another universe.